Warning: the following program contains subject matter that some may find controversial and or offensive. It also contains our thoughts, opinions, and comments on said subject matter. As a result, if you agree with us, that is fucking fantastic. If you do not, that is just too fucking bad. It also contains crude language and tasteless humor. Lastly, if you choose to listen to it and find it offensive, do not say that we did not warn you, because that is what we just did, motherfucker. Greetings to all those out in internet land. I welcome you to the next installment of our podcast series, Playing with Politics. I am your co-host, John Christopher Wagner, along here with my other co-host,
James Michael Wagner.
So, this episode was one we were originally supposed to do last June, so that would have been June of 2018. But
1 year ago.
yes, but we forgot to do it, or stuff happened and we couldn't do it, and then we just forgot about it for the last couple of months, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because it wasn't June. But now it's June again, so we're going to do it this month.
Yes, and it really should be done during June because it's very topical.
Yes. Now, as you all know, I'm assuming this is around the world, is that June is Pride Month, which is to celebrate all the LGBTQ stuff, but we're going to call it Gender and Sexual Diversity, or GSD, to encompass everything because it gets way too complicated. So
letters keep being added to LGBT, and now there's like a million of them.
Okay.
So this is easier.
But what I will say is that this GSD Pride stuff, it's not GSD Pride Month here. So that's right. We're going to fuck some shit up.
You told me we were going to be intelligent about this. And you just threw in some swearing.
I said we can't, but we can swear a little bit. We don't have to be totally regulated by FCC guidelines on regular radio or Howard Stern on XM.
Okay, so to make this clear to everybody, we're not going to take the low road, and we're not going to take the high road. We're going to take the middle road.
Yes, that's correct. So anyway, the topic of today's podcast is going to be street pride. So we're going to counterattack the LGBT stuff, the LGBT pride stuff. Okay. Now, of course, if you have listened to other podcasts we've made in the past, we really are not fans of GSD stuff.
We're not part of the community, and we don't really support it.
No, we don't endorse it. We don't support it. We don't support any of this stuff. So, and I'm sure we've maybe discussed this a little bit in previous podcasts.
Yeah, we might have touched upon it before with jokes or something.
Yeah, with all this GSD stuff is for morality stuff. We think it's gross. Also, it's abnormal because most people are not that way, so it's like 2% of the population or 1%. So therefore, is not normal. And
well, you have to look at the definition of what normal is. Normal is like I think the best way to explain it is it's like the vast majority of people like do something or like act a certain way something like that, or at least the vast majority of people do it. So by that very definition, LGBT stuff cannot be normal since such a small percentage of the people do it.
Also, it can't result in reproduction. So from a scientific standpoint, it makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
So therefore, it doesn't fit in with nature or how natural things work, because how are people supposed to reproduce? Because with two people of the same sex, you can't reproduce. So therefore, that would be abnormal then.
And of course, they like to argue that they're born that way. And of course, there are people that say it's a lifestyle choice.
And as for it being,
and we're not here to try and argue one way or the other.
If you're born that way or it's a choice, I don't know. I don't know if you can even prove one way or the other.
Yes.
But anyway, though,
the point though is that even if you're born that way, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good, because you can be born with other conditions. For example, let's say like autism, because apparently now 90% of the kids have it now. That's what people act like. Yeah. But that's for like another day. That everybody has it now. But let's say you're actually born with that. People are going to agree that's not a good thing to have. Not to belittle anybody with it, but it's something that's not normal. It's an issue, like some kind of condition that you shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And that's something you're born with, but that doesn't make it good. Or if you're born with like kidney problems or something like that, just because you're born with it doesn't automatically mean it's normal or good or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the point with the LGBT stuff, because they try to say because they're born with it then means it's good.
Mm-mm. No, the gender and sexual diversity concepts and stuff like that, people with those things, those are what we have been classified as, because they are not normal, that they're mental or psychological or psychiatrical issues, like problems. And that doesn't mean that and people will think, well, if you have a mental disorder or have a mental issue or problem, that you're dangerous, and that's not always true. You could have mental problems and not be dangerous. Like depression's a mental issue, but usually those people aren't dangerous. So
it might eventually be dangerous to themselves, but not necessarily.
Yeah. And people with mental issues can still lead,
and others, but not all the time.
But people with mental issues can still lead normal, productive lives. So what we're seeing is this LGBT stuff are like psychological problems, and people with these things probably should see psychiatrists or whatever, get mental help, especially the ones who want to change their sex because where they think they're wrong sex, because nobody knows what the long-term effects of doing something like that is, because it's never been studied before, because it's a relatively
you've heard some studies where people regret it and stuff, and you just don't see it very much because nobody's gonna publish
the long-term
like
effects
that.
of sex change operations or whatever. Nobody knows what that does to people who undergo these surgeries, because it's a relatively new thing. So
yes, we've heard a little bit of stuff about how it has a negative impact on people.
That, it's totally fine and everything's hunky-dory and there's nothing bad about it, they're just fucking lying to you, because there's no studies, really. There's very little knowledge about this kind of stuff. But anyway, though, and also from, like I said, from a morality standpoint, we don't like it, because men should be men, women should be women. Sex is a biological thing. It's not something you think, or it's fluid. Like they'll say gender's fluid and crap like that. That's not true. It's men have X and Y chromosomes, I think, and women have X and X. Okay.
I'd look that up though to make sure.
But anyway, though, if I'm wrong, on that men and women have different chromosomes, so you can do a DNA test. You're male or female. That's it. It's a biological thing that can be proven scientifically. So you're one or the other. That's it. You can't be the other. So even with a sex change operation, you're not that sex. You're the sex you were born with because your DNA test will prove you are.
And of course, they try to say sex and gender are different things, and because they'll say like the sex is like what you're born, I think, but then gender is whatever you think you are. So they're just trying to twist all these words around. For another, like I said, is it like another thing is that they try to they try to bastardize is the word acceptance, because when they and of course not all the LGBT people are doing stuff like this. There are some that just want to mind their own business and not hijack everything, but a lot of them are frankly just assholes and try to hijack everything and stuff. So this is really about those people. And what I was going back to before what the word acceptance is that when they say acceptance, they mean you have to agree with them that you like it, or no, not even like it. You have to love it, like love it, and everything about them. And what acceptance really means is you don't like it. Well, you don't necessarily like it. You don't have to. It just means that you tolerate it or you deal with it. So you don't have to love it. It just means you just put up with it. So that's what it really means. And I also want to take this moment to clarify our positions on this. Is that the stuff is that even though we don't agree with it, we don't support it or anything like that. We don't think any of it should be illegal as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Let me explain it this way. I think this is the simplest way I can articulate this. Is we don't support this gender sexual diversity stuff, but we support the right for it to exist and for people to do it if they want to. Supporting something is different than supporting the right for someone to do it.
Yeah, as long as you're not forcing somebody to do something they don't want to do, or you're stealing from somebody, or you're physically hurting somebody, we think it should be legal, and we don't care if you do it or not. And the only reason why we're even talking about this now is because it's been shoved in everybody's face for so much that it's just getting obnoxious.
It's getting out of control.
In fact, when people say June is Pride Month, it's like, what are you talking about? Isn't the whole year like Pride year? Because every month is like that.
Isn't it Pride forever?
Really? See, that's the thing, is it's like, why have your own month? Because you just hijacked the whole year. That's what it's turned into.
So anyway, we think that men and women should behave a certain way and look a certain way, to an extent. I mean, we're not like, the old school 50s people where men have to wear suits and they can't have long hair and crap like that. We're not that hardcore, but at the same time, we're not on that end of the spectrum, super conservative, yet we're also not at the other end of the spectrum, super liberal, where gender's fluid and anybody can do whatever they want. We're in the middle, like with most things. So, to give you an idea of what we think. Okay, also, the next topic we want to discuss that goes with all this gender and sexual diversity crap is that we don't like the way that people use marriage for that, because that's a Christian word. Now, that's because marriage was used in legal doctrine, because that's what when they wrote the laws, that's what they used, and it should really be removed from it and be called a civil union, because the government shouldn't have anything to do with religion, and vice versa. Religion should have anything to do with government. That's what separation of church and state is. It was to protect religion from the government.
In other words, religion came up with the word. So think of the word as like private property, and when they take that word and they change it to whatever, gay marriage or whatever, it's like stealing someone else's property because it belongs to the church. And that's what the government has done too, is they've like stolen the word, and then they're letting anybody use it for whatever.
The separation of church and state was originally designed to keep religion safe from the government, but at the same time, you don't want the religion controlling the government either. So it works both ways.
So think of it this way: if it was reversed, like if marriage traditionally meant like two gay men or two women, like lesbians or whatever, and let's say then the straight people hijacked the word and tried to change it so it also meant one man and one woman getting married. Would the LGBT people out there really appreciate that if the straight community took their word like that? I don't think they'd be very happy about that they would steal their word. And of course, the way it really is the other way, where they're taking where the LGBT community is taking the word marriage from straight people or from a religion, and that's the definition they have for the word marriage.
Basically, any religion, you shouldn't change any words in any religion. If it's Islam or Judaism, Christianity, pagan ones, we don't care. You just Hinduism, Buddhism, that's their lingo that they use, and you shouldn't be fucking around with it. And like I said, what happened is they used marriage in the laws in America to define legal marriage, but I think marriage should be removed from all laws, legal doctrine, and just be called like a civil union or something like that, and then just keep religion completely separate. Christianity and all religions. And again, though, I don't want to take words from other religions and change their definitions because I don't like what they mean. So the gender and social diversity people and the liberals should not do it to Christianity or any other religion, and nobody should do it to anybody else's group either or organization, because it's not their word to change like that. So it applies to everybody. So it's not just one-sided, because you shouldn't be screwing around with anybody else's stuff, regardless of who it belongs to.
And also, for the record, is that the LGBT community is very quick to say that the major religions, well, generally they just mean Christianity, because you can never criticize Islam because that would be you're Islamophobic or whatever, politically incorrect. So I'm just going to use Christianity here, but really it applies to all the major religions. Judaism too, and Islam, where they're quick to point out that the major religions don't like gay people or LGBT people, and that actually is not true. What it is that the religions don't like the acts that they do. Like, for example, gay people is that Christianity, for example, and I assume in other religions, don't like homosexuality. That is a big difference than saying you don't like homosexuals.
It's a concept: hate the sin, not the sinner.
Yes. So there's nothing wrong with homosexuals in the church. It's just that there's certain behaviors the church doesn't want them to do. So you can be gay, you just can't do anything gay. And and that's the thing, is that they just don't like the certain acts that people do it. And of course, it's like with straight people, and like infidelity and stuff, or cheating on your spouse or whatever, things like that, where once again that's something you're not supposed to do. So you can be religious like a Christian or something if you're gay or whatever, but you just can't do that kind of stuff. And they try to say, well, if I can do that kind of stuff and I can still be a Christian, well, no, not really, because that's a very big thing. So you really aren't a Christian, and you could, I guess, still believe in God. You just can't be a Christian because that's a very big rule you're violating here.
That's because what it's saying is that you're supposed, as a Christian, you're supposed to know that if you have homosexual tendencies, you're supposed to know that's wrong and you should not engage in them.
Yeah,
that's what that's saying. Is that's saying that where the Bible says you're supposed to not like a man shouldn't lay with another man, but where the problem is being gay isn't the problem; it's acting on it that's the problem. So so if you are gay, Christian, you're supposed to think, okay, I'm gay and that's bad that I am attracted to people of the same sex as me, so I should not do anything with that.
If you don't want to follow those rules, then you don't have to be a Christian, and that's fine. Nobody's going to care. At least most people aren't going to care.
So
okay, you can continue.
Okay, I was just going to say, so in short, is that you shouldn't be taking words that belong to other groups of people and changing the definitions for your own use because you just don't like them because they're not your words to use or to take or to change or to mess around with. That's not cool because we don't do it to anybody else, so they shouldn't do it to Christianity or any other religion just because they don't like it, and that's wrong for them to do that.
And also the other I guess topic related to this is how if you don't agree with every LGBT thing, there is like 100% total commitment to everything they say, or total of like you agree with them on everything, that you're like homophobic or transphobic or whatever. Well, that isn't true, because just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you're afraid of them or afraid of whatever. It just means you don't agree with it. It's like, let's use like basketball for example. Like if you know somebody who likes basketball and you don't like basketball, does that mean you're basketball phobic, where you're afraid of basketball? It just means you don't like basketball, and that's it. And you can still like the person who likes basketball. So it's the same thing with people in the LGBT community, is even if you don't agree with that part of them, you can still like them or get along with them, because you don't have to like every part about every single person. I mean, that's just idiocy. So, and the thing is that, most people, including us, have worked with people who probably were LGBT people or who supported it. And that's fine, because, all I care about is, can you do your job? And that's it. And the same thing is like, even if you go to our Twitter page, there's a lot of people who follow us who are either LGBT people or who support LGBT stuff. And they're pretty open about it. And on other social networking sites, there might be people who connect with us or whatever who are like that too. But I just know Twitter is because they actually say it. And the thing is when I'm on Twitter, when somebody follows me, I always follow them back and never block them. And I don't do anything on any of the other social networking sites like that either, because I'm just there to connect with as many people as possible. If you're an LGBT person, that's fine. That's not really that big of a deal, because we're open to trying to connect with all kinds of people. Okay. So I just want to make it clear that you can even go to our Twitter page and see that. And like I said, maybe our other pages, maybe the other websites we're on, people connect with us who are like that too. It's just that they aren't saying it. So we're actually pretty flexible here. So we're not going to not follow people or connect with them because of that.
Okay, in conclusion, is Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, that marriage is defined as one biological woman and one biological man. And that's the way it was, is, and should always will be. Or should always be. Okay. The next topic is that when all this stuff gets taught in the schools, this we really don't like, because this is totally inappropriate, because schools should not be about politics. It should not be about religion, unless it's
and that goes for conservative stuff too. It's not just liberal shit.
No, unless it's a religious school. If it's a public,
then it's supposed to teach what the religion's about.
If it's a public school, this stuff shouldn't be in it, because you hear these stories about people teaching kids in kindergarten about gender and sexual diversity stuff, and they're basically showing them porn and crap like that. And the reality is that if you did this, if you weren't a teacher and you did this outside of the school, showing kids pornography or homosexual stuff, you basically go to prison, because that's because they're minors, they're underage. That's like pedophilia almost. Or well, it's not really pedophilia, but it's illegal for kids to see porn. But in the school, when teachers do this, they basically get fucking medals. And that's just
like the end of which Star Wars movie was it? Was that the
first one,
the
New
first
Hope.
one, New Hope? Yeah, that's basically replaced everybody from the replaced like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and all the rebels with teachers from public schools.
I know. Now that is bad because that is brainwashing, and that is propagandizing. There's no question about that. So don't tell me it's not, because it is. And that's something that parents and kids have to. That parents should teach their kids by themselves when it comes to sex and sexually related accessories, I guess you could call it, like propane. And first of all, kids that young shouldn't be exposed to sex and heterosexuality and homosexuality because kids that young, they don't understand, they can't even understand heterosexuality, so how in the hell are they supposed to understand homosexuality? And all that does
it's transgender stuff and all that stuff.
All that does is confuse them and can cause mental problems for them, which is the goal of liberals. It's to experiment on your kids and fuck them up. Because then when they fuck your kids up, they then can go become dolls of the system and vote for Democrats because they've become like desensitized and dehumanized or brainwashed, and they have more of a tendency to vote for liberals then. So that's why they experiment on your kids, because they don't care about them. They just see them as a future voting base.
They see them as useful idiots. They serve their purpose, and once they're done, they just throw them under the bus.
So that's why why kids shouldn't be exposed to anything like this. It's only when they get older that parents should be doing this.
And once again, this goes both ways. Like we wouldn't support them doing any conservative stuff either.
No.
Just nothing at all. You know, when it comes to that kind of social stuff, that should be between the kids and the parents when the kids are ready.
Yeah. So any sexual stuff should not be exposed to kids that early on.
No.
And the people who show kids that crap in school, the teachers who do all that, who do the porn crap like that, are just fucking perverts who just
they're deranged sex fiends and just
or who just want to,
they're
like
freaks.
I said, propagandize your children, or they're just freaks and perverts. I don't know. But anyway, though, it's bad. None of that should exist at that early age. And when you get older in school, when you have your sex, health, and education classes with that kind of stuff, then you can discuss those matters. For example, when you're in high school, maybe even middle school, that's like 7th, 8th grade.
I think when we were in 6th grade, we started the sex stuff, but it was very basic.
But when you get to
we were like 11 or 12, I think, in 6th grade.
But that was the basic stuff of human reproduction.
Yeah.
When you get beyond that into homosexuality or transgender stuff or transsexual stuff or bisexual stuff, that should be really like maybe high school, and then you can have a dialogue to discuss those issues, but not. But that's because they're like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, not when you're 5 or 6. That's way too young for this stuff.
Yes, and then of course you have stuff like Drag Queen Story Time, which falls under that.
That's not. And again,
it's not cool, man.
Public school is not the appropriate place for stuff like this, and that's what we don't like, is because they come after your kids because they're freaks, and that's wrong. And none of that stuff should be there. So that is bad because you're affecting other people then, because you're forcing it on them. And that's where it comes into play, is that now because when you do doesn't affect me, so you can do it, but when you start forcing it on other people, especially kids who don't know any better and they're susceptible to stuff, that's just evil. I'm fucking sorry. That's just pure satanic evil. When you start preying on children like that with your sick, perverted bullshit.
Yeah, it's like a Slayer kind of evil.
Yeah, black metal, like that kind of stuff.
First wave of black metal, just total chaos and no kind of coherency.
Yeah, it's wrong on all levels, so that needs to be stopped. So, okay, the next thing we want to discuss is the whole thing with like gay couples adopting kids. Now, this can get very complicated, so we're not going to go into that. We just want to get you thinking. You can do your own research if you'd like. Um, but basically, and I know a lot of, if you look at a lot of these studies, a lot of them are good. Will say that nowadays, a lot of the newer studies will say that gay parents, the children try out fine and everything, and I'm sure they do. But I found one study that said
Also, we have to make it clear that with like sociological stuff and psychological stuff, that's all been commandeered by the liberals. At least
the social sciences,
the vast social sciences, all of them, I should say, the vast majority of the people in there are liberals, so it's very biased.
Yes. So I even saw one study that said that gay parents are better than straight parents.
Now, I'm calling that on bullshit.
You know what's bullshit? That study, just on common sense. Now, you have to be careful with the stuff because, like my co-host said, that a lot of these studies are biased and they're designed to give results they want, and usually they're the liberal results.
Like climate change.
So they just keep putting shit data in to get the results they want.
Climate change.
So what we're saying is that kids who have gay parents, they don't get all fucked up and they can't function in the real world. We're not saying that. They could grow up to be fine, productive citizens, but what we are saying is that when you have two parents of the same sex, since that's not the natural order of things, that I think the child ends up missing something along the way, and I think it makes it maybe harder for them to, for kids to progress because it's not like the way nature intended. A good example I could think of is a Modern Family episode. It was from last season.
Yeah, I think so.
Where Cam and Mitch, their daughter Lily, had her period. And since Cam and Mitch are men, they can't relate to that. I don't think they even knew what a period was. We barely know what a period is. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember.
So they don't know how to deal with Lily because she doesn't know, and they really can't educate her because they're not women. So Mitch has to get his sister Claire to talk to Lily about her period. So they have to go to an outside source because none of them are women. And again, when you have kids, even if they're the same sex as you, the fact that they don't have any influence of the opposite sex in their life isn't a good thing. So regardless if you're a boy or a girl and you have a mom and a dad, then that works out better because you have an influence of both sexes in your life.
Yes, because men and women complement each other.
And that's how it should be. So again, we're not saying that kids who have two moms or two dads are going to grow up to be serial killers or going to kill themselves or whatever.
But they still have to have a role model of the opposite sex there, which, raises questions like, okay, if you have two dads or two moms, then they still need a man or a woman in their life, the other gender, a person of the other gender. So it's like, maybe then it's not perfect.
No. So we're not saying that they can't grow up to be fully functioning adults. It's just that I think they're at a bigger disadvantage than a kid who has a mom and a dad, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Of course, they'll probably there's a much better chance they'll grow up to like homosexuality and all that stuff a lot more. But the point is you need to interact with people that are different like that, because both men and women bring something to the table that the other one can't. And as much as the liberals absolutely hate saying this, is there are differences between men and women.
Yes. So
we were on such a good roll too.
Wait, I'm thinking. I forgot what I was going to say.
Maybe I should find some music to put on during this. Let's see. Or I can always make my own music. What can I do here to pass the time while my co-host gathers his thoughts? let's see, maybe I can do. Oh, I have an idea. He's gonna take you back to the past to play the shitty games that suck ass. He'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in his ear. He'd rather eat the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk than down it with beer. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angry Nintendo nerd. Okay, that's all I got.
So, anyway, is that children just who have, like I said, it's normal way to go. So if they have one mom and one dad, then I think they have a better advantage than somebody who doesn't. Because because that's the way like nature intended it to be. So then, of course, this is in general terms. So there are specific situations where you could maybe argue that a gay couple would be better, but we're not going to do that because that requires tons of research, and then you have to factor foster homes.
We're not advocating that if you have if you have a dad and a mom, and they're both like alcoholics or drug addicts or deadbeats, that means they're still better than gay people.
Or abusive, or going from foster home to foster home. That's not what
we're trying to say is the ideal. Yes. The ideal thing is a man and a woman a biological man and a biological woman who are good parents who don't do any bad things. That would be the best case.
In most circumstances, kids should have one mom and one dad. Well, biological dad, one biological mom. In general terms,
because you have cases where a spouse dies or something like that. So we're just speaking like general terms, or if your parents get divorced, or something like that.
There's like I said, there are a lot of other scenarios out there, and it's very complicated. We don't know the answer to a lot of these,
and those kids can turn out fine too.
Yeah, we're just speaking in general terms for most situations.
Yes, so I mean, they might have problems, but they're not going to necessarily be like dangerous.
Yeah, going into all that other stuff requires a lot more research and things that we just don't want to do. There's no reason to.
Yes.
We just wanted to get you thinking about this. Okay, so then the last topic we're going to talk about is all this attack on free speech and silencing people who don't agree with the gender and social diversity agenda. And that's what this podcast is about when we're talking about straight pride. Because the goal of the liberals is to silence all dissenters. Anybody who doesn't agree with this agenda, to stop them, to stifle them, to snuff them out.
Yes, to call them Nazis or bigots or whatever. Yeah. Totally twist the words around again.
And that's bad because it's like...
Because they lose all meaning. Because nobody really knows what a Nazi is anymore.
Bingo. Because people have their gay pride month. That's fantastic. Everybody loves it, everything. But when people try to do a white pride month or a straight pride month or any kind of white or straight pride thing, nobody will let them do it because it's racist.
Or any kind of conservative pride thing.
Or it's homophobic, or it's Nazi or fascist, or it's evil or whatever. And it can't be one-sided like that. So how come Gay Pride Month is okay and it's inclusive and it's not heterophobic, but when you try to have Straight Pride Month, that's homophobic, that's evil, that's fascist, that's exclusive, that's not inclusive, and it can't be both. You can't have it be both one way like that.
They want to burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah, and that's unfair because everybody else can have their marches and their parades, but certain people can't. That's because they're protected classes of people that the Democrats, want to give them more rights than other people because to them, straight people shouldn't have as many rights as LGBT people, or white people shouldn't have as many rights as black people.
Because under the Constitution, everybody has the same rights. What they want to do is give them special rights or privileges that other people don't have. That's what it really is.
They just want everybody to agree with them and their crap, but nobody else can have their opinions or dissent in any way.
Yes, it's about superficial diversity, not meaningful diversity.
Exactly. Because they'll say gay people are diverse, but straight people aren't. Well, what do you think diversification means? So,
yeah, diversity includes everything but straight people or Christians or conservatives.
Same thing. You couldn't
according to them.
You couldn't have a Christian Pride Month. They wouldn't allow that, or a march or anything, because that would be seen as racist and anti, non-Christian stuff. So,
that's pretty fucked-hearted, if you ask me.
It really is fucked-hearted. So what we're saying is, if you are straight and you don't agree with this gender and sexual diversity junk, then in the comment section of this podcast and comment sections of other podcasts and on the internet, say so. Have you tried to do straight pride marches or whatever, or events or festivals or whatever?
If you're a biological male, don't be afraid to stand up and say, I like titties, I like boobies, I like pussies, even if it's hairy pussies, I like squirting, I like asses, I like anything on a biological female.
I like clitorises.
That's hot, yes. And if you're a biological woman, you can stand up and say, I like big, hard, meaty cocks.
I like jizz.
Yes.
I like it so much I want it to be bottled in a soda can so I can purchase it at the store and consume it.
I like hairy balls, whatever. Don't be afraid to say that.
Because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes. That's, once again, is you're in the majority of people.
We like big, puffy, erotic nipples, too.
Yes.
With women. So
that's the thing, is you just have tyranny of the minority. I mean, you have a group of people who are trying to run the country, and this group of people makes up at most like 2% of the population,
so
significantly small percentage.
So don't let the liberals, they're really communists now. Don't let them in the Democratic Party bully you around because they're cry bullies, and don't let them beat you into submission, push you around, and make you believe they're crap.
And we're not advocating, attacking people or anything like that. Not. Unless it's a self-defense thing, but that's a different kind of issue. We're just talking about, don't be afraid to be who you are if you're straight. Let people know it, and if people tell you to stop, don't listen to them. Just speak up and let your voices be heard. And try to be nice about it. And like I said, don't physically hit anybody or steal from anybody or force people to do stuff they don't want to do. But what you can do is just be proud of who you are, and if you want to talk about it, or go to an event like a rally or something, do it. Because they do that kind of stuff, so you should be able to do it as long as it's peaceful. Because the left, and hell, half the time what the LGBT people are doing isn't peaceful anyway.
Yeah, and this even can go beyond LGBT stuff. All this left-wing agenda crap is just Marxist mind control. We're supposed to, in America and really any country on this planet, you have different groups of people, different cultures, and you're supposed to all coexist together. And what the liberals are trying to do is they're trying to take certain cultures like the LGBT culture and try to force it into the other cultures, to transform them into them. Because you have Christian, you have LGBT, you have Islam, Jewish, whatever, white, black, and they should be able to all coexist together, but they're not supposed to start forcing themselves into the other one and change them. That's wrong. They should be able to all exist separately together.
It's not supposed to be. What they're doing is they're spreading it like a disease.
Yes.
When they're supposed to just live peacefully side by side with everybody, they're trying to infiltrate everything.
Yeah.
That's what's wrong, is because you can coexist without any of that. Like I said, is you just let people, you just mind your own business, they mind their own business, everybody just goes on about their daily life or whatever. Instead, they're trying to hijack everything. So, like with Pride Month, is now everything has to be about that LGBT stuff.
So all these,
and it's getting out of hand.
So all these people who try to who want you to like this stuff, and they don't want you to talk about heterosexuality or Christian things, or give your opinions on it just because it's different than theirs. Don't let them stop you from doing that. So get on the internet, talk to people, talk about stuff, about the biblical terminology of sexuality, if you believe in that, or conservative stuff, But if you don't agree with any of this stuff, talk to other people about it, and then all other people who are trying to stop you or snuff you out, they can go fuck themselves, because that's completely unfair.
And the thing
it's wrong. It's just flat out wrong.
And the thing is that you might not like offending people, but sometimes you have to. And if you think about it, no matter what you say or do, you're always going to offend people because you have stupid, retarded pussies. That's the way it is. You have people where their whole lives revolve around being a pussy, being a victim, and just flat out being a fucking ass loser.
And just bitch and whine about everything.
Yeah, a little bitchy pussy person. And the thing is that those people just suck ass, and don't listen to them because they have nothing else better to do, because that's who they are.
And again, there is legitimate discrimination in the country and in the world. Okay, where people are oppressed. Understand. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people, like the thing saying how when you try to do something that's pro-heterosexuality or pro-Christian, that is oppressive to the people who are not that way, and that's not true. So that's what we're saying, is just stand up for being straight. If you don't like this junk, say so and stand up to it. Don't let people beat you into submission who don't like it, because you should not have to think like them. That's wrong. Those people can go to hell. They can go fuck themselves in hell. So stand up for what you believe in, So that's why we created this podcast for Straight Pride. Because we think it's unfair that the GSD people can have an entire month devoted to their stuff, but Christians and conservatives and straight people and white people can't have their own stuff. Because it's seen as oppressive and bad when it's not.
And for the GDS people out there who are just minding their own business, more power to you. That you're not being dicks or anything. So we have no problem with you. Our beef isn't with you if you just want to do your own thing and let other people do their own thing. But for the GDS people, is it GDS? Oh wait, no, gender. No, GSD people. GSD.
It's
people,
gender and sexual diversity.
For the GSD people though, who want to control everybody out there, those are the people we do have the beef with. So then I guess all I can say to those people out there is just fuck all you sons of bitches and bastards to hell.
Damn you.
I pull down my pants so you could kiss my ass, but you probably actually like that. So that's the thing, is those people are the people who suck.
Yeah, we just have a beef with tyrannical shitheads.
Yes.
That's where our problem is the people who are trying to force us to be like them. That's where our problem is. Because they're trying to take over our stuff and change it to the other people's stuff that we don't want to. Instead of everybody just coexisting together with their own stuff.
And if you're one of those GSD people who aren't part of the GSD Nazi community, because they're the real Nazis, then then say something, because we'd like GSD people on our side too. You just make it clear that you're not a part of that.
Okay, so that's it. So that's what we want to do. So we've decided that in the wake of Gay Pride Month, we want to do a straight Pride podcast. So, like I said, so people who agree with us, don't be afraid to say so. Go out and do it, and don't let people stop you from doing it because that's wrong, because you have just as much right to voice your opinion as they do.
Just make sure to follow the Constitution, though, when you do it.
Yeah. So we wanted to celebrate our heterosexuality because we love all the hot honeys out there. So
yes, we do, and you can never have enough of them.
Yeah, and remember, so if you do have hot honeys out there, remember to spank their sugary sweet ass for me.
Yeah, you can spank one for me too.
And fuck them good.
fuck them till the cows come home.
Fuck them for me.
Yeah, fuck one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck a hot honey for me. So,
okay, so I guess we're coming to the end of the podcast. So now we'll do all the obligatory stuff, like if you want to leave comments in the comment section below of this podcast, feel free to do so, and for any other podcast too. And feel free to like this podcast, like any other one, and any other ones as well. And if you really want to, and we hope you do, you can also subscribe to our channel. So there's all kinds of fun interactive things you can do on our YouTube channel, like we just mentioned.
Yeah, and if you want to start a war in the comment section of this podcast, then feel free to do so. We don't care. We don't give a damn.
Yeah, we're open for anything. You can post anything you want. So
yeah, so if you want to start trolling, go for it.
Yeah, be the ultimate troll. So on that note, this is James Michael Wagner and
John Christopher Wagner
signing off.
Saying have a happy straight Pride Month.
Yes, have a happy straight Pride Month. And always remember to forge on.
Forge on.